All right, good morning, everyone. As I've said before, I'm Jeremy Burkett, a sergeant with the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. And on behalf of Secretary Hal Taylor and the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency State Bureau of Investigation, I'm going to provide an update relative to the death investigation that occurred here in Dadeville in Tallapoosa County. On Tuesday, April 18th, at approximately 8 p.m., the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency's State Bureau of Investigation officially arrested and charged Tyreek McCullough, 17 of Tuskegee, and Travis McCullough, 16, also of Tuskegee, with 4 counts of reckless murder each. That's 4 counts of reckless murder each. And I really want to, before we go any further, I absolutely want to thank this community and the information that was provided. And I also want to reiterate how important it is going to be for you to continue to do that. Please understand, with a scene and a violent act, with the violence that went on and the magnitude of what happened, we are absolutely still in the early stages of this investigation, okay? This is absolutely the beginning. This is not the end. There is a tremendous amount of work that is yet to be done. We're going to continue to do exactly what we've been doing. We're going to be very careful with everything that we say, with everything that we do, because we absolutely are going to stay focused on the families and the victims. But we're going to need the public's help when we do that. The other thing I want to point out, if you were at the venue that night, so if you were physically at the venue and you have not come forward, meaning you have not contacted law enforcement, please hear me. I absolutely want you to do that. We need you to come forward for these families, for these victims, okay? Please, I want to be clear, okay? Make no mistake, this is Alabama. And when you pull out a gun and you start shooting people, we're going to put you in jail, okay? We're going to do that because we're thinking about the families. We're concerned about the families. We were in the beginning and we will be through the remainder of this investigation, because somebody's got to start thinking about mom. Because I know I'm tired of it, and everybody behind me is tired of it. We're tired of going to the mothers and having to tell them that these kids are not coming home. So that's what we're going to be concerned about. We're not concerned about the headlines. We're not. We're worried about mom, okay? So that's going to be our focus, and we are. We're going to stay laser focused on this investigation throughout the duration. But again, it's going to take personal courage. It's going to take personal courage of the individuals that were there that night to come forward, come talk to law enforcement, tell the truth. We need that information, okay? I'm now going to turn it over to the 5th Circuit District Attorney, Mike Seegers, for his comments. Thank you.
Can you spell the names, please?
We will send out an official press release with all the names immediately following this. Please hold all questions to the end of the press conference. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Segrist. I'm the District Attorney for the 5th Judicial Circuit, which includes not only here in Tallapoosa County, but also Macon, Chambers, and Randolph counties. I know that there has been some frustration among our community and among media about a lack of information that has been provided up to this point. And I want to explain part of the reason for that. As a prosecutor, I cannot discuss the specific facts of the case. It's highly inappropriate for me to come out and publicly talk about that and tell that information. And the reason is being, defendants have constitutional rights. They've got to be tried by a jury of their peers inside this building. They have a right to be represented by counsel. And for me to come out here and give information about what's going on in the investigation, I can't discuss the details of that with y'all. and I apologize, but I hope you'll understand that, nor can law enforcement. So we won't be discussing all of the details. I can tell you a few things about the process of what will happen next with these individuals. First, they'll be entitled to an anonymous law hearing, which is a bond hearing that will have to occur within 72 hours. The state of Alabama will be requesting no bond. That's up to a judge to decide, but that will be the state of Alabama's position. After that, there'll be an initial court appearance. Then there'll be a preliminary hearing, and then this information, depending on the outcome of that, will go to a grand jury. The grand jury system in Alabama and each circuit operates differently. Here in Tallapoosa County, the grand jury convenes twice a year, once in March and then once again in September. Once the grand jury is impaneled in March, they are still the grand jury for that 6-month period. We can recall the grand jury to present an indictment under special situations. That's unprecedented and hasn't been done that I'm aware of anytime recently here. This is an unprecedented situation. If we can establish the facts and are ready to present that, we will be asking our grand jury to come back in to present that so we can move forward efficiently and effectively. This is a very complex case. We mentioned 4 counts of reckless murder. Obviously, that just includes the 4 deceased that have been reported. Okay, we've got a lot more victims in this. We've still got 4 that are in hospital, 4 that are in critical condition. There'll be pending charges coming regarding all those. So when I tell you that this is just the tip of the iceberg and forthcoming charges, literally, you know, we're going to make sure every one of those victims has justice and not just the deceased. I'd be remiss if I didn't just say a thank you to all the agencies. I'm not going to try to name them all because there's been so many. Literally, every agency from federal, state, and local that has been involved in this, without the resources that they have brought to our community, we would not be where we are and have already made these first arrests here today. I will tell you that even though these are 16 and 17-year-olds, we will be charging them as adults in this. When I spoke to the press on Sunday, I started off by talking about the victims and the victim services, and I want to go back over that. We have information on our website, www.fifthcircuitda.org, that has information to provide to victims and victims' families. And we've got victim services from the FBI, victim services from the Attorney General's office, victim service from the Office of Prosecutorial Services, as well as our office. They're all working to provide the needs to the victims. When we talk about the victims, it's not just the 28 injured and 32 dead. There were so many kids in this venue, and what they saw, it's their victims in this. Their families are victims of this, and the ripple effect of this, it's kind of like a wave rolling across Lake Martin, but that ripple didn't stop when it hit the banks. There are other communities involved. There were kids from Reeltown here. One of the ones in critical condition had gone to the prom that night in Reeltown. There's kids from Tallahassee, kids from Booker T. W., kids from Alexander City. We haven't even identified possibly, where all some of these kids came from. And it's a traumatic thing for them. And they need help. Our services are available for them as well. And talking about the victims, I'll share something with you. I'm going to try not to get emotional, and I'm not going to be taking any questions because I probably would. But one of the victims that wasn't injured is Lexi Dowdell. It's Lexi's 16th birthday party, sweet 16. There's an uncut cake and unburnt 16 candles that never got lit. Lexi's brother was one of the victims. On her 16th birthday party, she knelt by her brother as he took his last breath. That's what we're dealing with here. Those are what these victims went through. The message that I want to send is, I know some of these victims personally. Some of these kids are kids of friends of mine, people that I went to school with, people that I played ball with and against, in the community back in high school. And these are my kids. These are our kids. Don't mess with our kids. Do not mess with our kids. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jonathan Floyd, the police chief of the city of Dadeville. I want to echo what has already been said concerning our victims. Our victims who were physically injured, our victims who were there, and even though they may not have received physical injuries, they have emotional scars and injuries. They will carry them for the rest of their life. To our families, we love you. The Dadeville Police Department is going to do everything we can to make sure that we have a successful prosecution for you. One of the decisions I made very early on was to get our state and federal partners involved. The resources that they have provided have been invaluable. I ask for patience. As you've already been told, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the very beginning. But we have one chance to get this right. In a few days, most of you are going to be gone. Our community is still going to be here. Our victims, people that are affected, are still going to be here. We're going to be here with them. As the police chief, as a member of law enforcement, we owe it to every person affected to make sure that we're very slow, make sure we're very methodical, because as I said, we have one opportunity to get this right. Because this case is not just about making an arrest. That is not the finish line. If we hurry, if we're careless, and we do make an arrest, but it does not result in conviction, it does not result in ultimate justice for our victims, we have failed our victims. So I ask each of you to please be patient, please be understanding. To our victims who may not be Dadevillians, but were here that night, got news for you. Now you're an honorary Dadevillian, whether you want it or not, because we love you, and you're a part of our city, and you're a part of our family. I want to thank every one of you for your interest, for your concern for our families, for our children, for being here. There are too many partners to name them all, but I'm telling you, Sheriff Jimmy Abbott, Tallapoosa County Sheriff's Department, he's been a tremendous asset. Alabama Bureau of Investigation, SBI, State Bureau of Investigation, and the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, ATF, FBI, United States Marshals Service, Alabama Fusion Center, just to name a few, not to mention our neighboring surrounding agencies. When I arrived on scene, you had sheriffs from other counties, you had police chiefs from other cities, countless officers and specialty units who came from other jurisdictions. They did not care that this wasn't their community. They were here because they have a servant's heart. So I ask each of you to please continue to lift us up. Please be patient, and please understand that when you email, when you call, when you text, and we do not give you a specific answer, it's because there's information that you want that I cannot reveal. because I'm not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize this investigation. So I thank each of you for your time. I thank each of you for your understanding.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Again, we're gonna get ready to close the press conference, and just what they said, this is about the victims, this is about the families, this is about this community, and it's ultimately about justice. And that's what we're here as law enforcement officers. We have a duty and a responsibility, and that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna follow. Thanks again for just the cooperation. I mean, the partnership has truly been amazing, and we do. We thank the media, we thank y'all. We know y'all have a job to do, and we absolutely respect that. We just ask that you respect and honor the job that we have to do. All right, I am gonna attempt, and I really wanna qualify this, I'm gonna attempt to take questions, meaning if you raise your hand, I will call on you. I'm not gonna take a lot of questions. I will call on you. If you start shouting, then I'm gonna end the press conference, okay? All right, go ahead.
What is the definition of reckless murder as opposed to other types of murder?
Okay, we'll send that. That's a very technical question. We can't answer that. We'll send that out in a press release. There are different classifications of murder. That is a good question. We can't get that answered. We'll send that out. Well, I will communicate that out.
Can you share any details about a potential motive or why the shooting happened?
No, ma'am, we can't get into a motive right now, absolutely, because that would be part of an ongoing investigation. We can't share that.
Sir.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, Sergeant. So, you could, I know you're going to release the names. If you could spell them, and can you say where the arrest took place?
Okay, I will. That's going to go out in a press release. We'll absolutely. I mean, as soon as this press conference is over, we're going to send the names out so you get the correct spelling, and there's no miscommunication about that. But the arrests were made yesterday, and on the locations, I'm just not able to say the exact locations where the arrests were actually made, but they were made yesterday, and the warrants were completed and everything was signed at approximately 8 p.m.
And where are they now?
I can't speak to that.
What is the known connection between the McCullough brothers and the people who were at that party?
I absolutely can't speak to that.
Sergeant, when were these people in custody? I've heard that they might have been in custody on a bond revocation or other charges before the official arrest.
So what we're prepared to say today is that they were arrested and officially charged at approximately 8 p.m. yesterday.
But you can't say that they were already in custody on something else.
No, ma'am, I can't make a comment on that. All right, Mike.
Do you know how many guns were fired and how many shell casings were recovered at the scene?
I absolutely can't speak to the details of that investigation. All right, I'm gonna take one more question. One more question.
Why was the public not informed that shooters were still on the loose,
Okay.
considering that?
All right, all right, thank y'all so much. That concludes the press conference. Thank you.